So in the last video, we worked on this stripe connected view layout, and I told you to refresh the page at the end of the video to look at the form, but no matter how much you refresh, it would probably never work. And I don't mean probably, I mean it would never work because you're missing some crucial code that we're gonna put in this video. But before we put in that code, I want you to go to line 15 in your stripe settings.html. And I want you to change connected to connected. So there was actually a typo, and I want you to change connected to connect to connected. So make that change, save the file, and let's hop on over to orgperson.rb. Now we need to define that connected function that we just called in stripe settings, and we're going to define that here as defined connected, and we're going to do stripe user ID is not nil. So what this does is it just checks if we have a Stripe account. So that's what the comment above says. General has a Stripe account check. So that's what it does. Now, if you've never seen that type of code before, don't worry, me neither. I pretty much ripped that off of one of the examples from the documentation on Stripe. So you don't really need to worry about that. Just checks if we have a Stripe account connected. Now we do a Stripe account type checks, and again, this is pretty much the exact same thing. So we do a def manage Stripe account type equals manage, and there are also two other types of definitions, and they are standalone and OAuth, and we'll just keep those two here just in case we ever need it. I'll tell you right now that in this series we will never use it, so I'll just keep it there just as a reminder for you that you do have it there if you decide to use it for some case. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to define manager. And again, all this code is really from the documentation, so I'm literally just copy and pasting and making sure that we have this code in order to make the entire thing work. And the last function we have is define can accept charges. And this will return true if we use OAuth. And there is a return true if manage and the charges enabled is enabled. And we have another true if standalone and account status is charges enabled. And otherwise we return false. So there's a lot of different combinations that you can use here. So the one we choose to use is managed. So that's why for both manager and can accept charges, we only have the managed part of the function activated. Other than that, that's all we need to do here in orgperson.rb. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your terminal, and what I want you to do is I want you to do a Rails generate controller hooks. So we're gonna generate something called a hooks controller, and literally, okay, so what we need to do here is we need to delete a lot of other stuff because we only need the controller. So I'm gonna do that at the end of the video, and you guys can just pretty much grab the controller from the download files. But let's go into our hooks controller, and I'm just gonna copy and paste from my notes. So this is again taken from the docs on Stripe, which is very useful in helping you get something that's really kind of out of the box and get you going with using Stripe right away. And there is a lot of code here and a lot of comments, so I'm not going to go through line by line and explain what everything means. You could read the comments on your own time, and if you have any questions or comments, you could leave that in the comment box and we could take a look at what your problem is. So let's just save that file and head back over here. Now what I want to do is in our layouts, I want to create our Stripe settings file because we haven't done that yet. So let's just do a save, and we'll call this Stripe settings.html.erb, and we're going to open up a div. The class would be call md11, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check if the if the current org person is managed. And this really is a more proper way of doing things because we have all these functions abstracted to the model, so we could just call it from the views. So this is a Stripe account type check to check if the account type is equal to managed. If it is equal to managed, then we can continue. So all the accounts that we're pretty much creating for our project are going to be managed. So literally, whenever an account goes to this part of the page, they'll automatically get in because they'll be managed accounts no matter what. So after that, I want to open up two centers, which we did, and I want to pop these two things in there: the header Stripe account management and the account type being managed. Because as I said, we're only going to handle managed accounts. Now I want to go down line 7 and make a little comment here that shows the current account status and whether the account can make charges or receive transfers. So we're just going to open up a div, and this div inside here will show the status of the account and whether they are connected or whether they have their Stripe account and their bank account connected to our platform. So we just do account status, and we're going to do a status, and then we're going to open up a table. And since we passed in charges and transfers, because if you go back to our org people controller, we have defined charges and transfers. So we're just going to use those now. So charges and transfers each. We're going to do text YN. So after that, we have to close this. So let's just close it with an end first. So we're going to open up a TR under this table row, and then table data. I'm going to open up some span classes. And in this span class, we're going to check YN. So if you go back to org people controller, you can see that here would be example of a text, and here would be an example of YN to check if the current person's Stripe account status has charges enabled. So based on whether charges are enabled or not, that will give us a true or false Boolean value, and it will go over here and decide which label to use. So it will either be labeled primary or labeled danger. And same here with this other span class we're going to put down. And I need to close this span. This other span class we're going to put down. It would either give us a check mark or a cross to tell us whether this value is good, to tell us whether the charges were enabled or whether the transfers were enabled or not. And this label primary and label danger, if you do a global find, you'll just find them in your orgpeople.css.scss. So we are going to stop here, and we are going to leave a comment right below center to remind us where we stopped. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you find this a little bit confusing, you can leave some comments. I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video, and as always, thanks for watching.